welcome to the Alumni House podcast. My name is Matt.
I'm the Quacker.
Quacker, how you doing this evening?
Doing good. It's almost the weekend.
It is almost the weekend. For me, it is the weekend because I don't work on Fridays. I guess I beat
I've got a 12-hour day tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't work on Fridays, and Quacker works enough for two people on Fridays. All right. So we've got a busy show, and we have a short time to do it in. So, that being said, you got some news for us?
I do. So, Lenore Sellers, good news, South Carolina fans. He's been upgraded to probable for your game against Mizzou on Saturday. He was knocked out with head injury in the Vandy game, so it looks like he'll be back. Clemson, you're getting Antonio Williams. He's upgraded to probable. He's had a hamstring injury that he suffered in I think it was the first quarter of the LSU game. Looks like he'll be back for your game against Syracuse. Matt, Kansas and Arizona State. Now, I know we don't cover them, but they're discussing a game in London for next year.
Good.
Which is,
I'm all for
that's kind of cool.
Overseas games.
Yeah, and then the last little bit of news, NCAA has now removed the spring transfer window.
Yeah, which is weird because so I remember like right when the offseason started, we got news that we would get word, and then they punted on it, and then we got word like 6 weeks ago that they were removing it, but then we got word again. I guess it was one of those like confirmation. They had to have a board confirm it or something. I don't know. I just remember thinking, well, they told us 6 weeks ago that it was happening, so why am I supposed to feel anything for this? But yeah, so that's good. Now all you got to do is listen. I think that Jacob Hester's idea is the best idea. It's essentially, and it's a form of what we've said before. But once we get, now that the transfer portal is just one window, and people are going to complain about it till Kingdom Come because if you're in the playoff or whatnot. But now all you have to do is, per Jacob Hester, say if you take any NIL money, you're there for 4 years and you can't transfer. My idea was that you sign a contract with the understanding that you pay a portion back if you decide to transfer, and you are limited to one transfer per 4 years. But I actually think his idea is better because most of these kids, not all of them, most of these kids want the money. There are some of them that the money's not as important, but I think a lot of them it is. So anyway, didn't mean to jump off on a tangent. I already said we have a busy show, and then I went off on a soapbox about that. But all right, so we're gonna jump right in. So the Golden Eagles from Hattiesburg, that is USM, they are headed to is that Ruston, Louisiana?
It is.
I got it right.
Yeah.
Okay, they're headed to Ruston to play the blue and red because I don't know what Louisiana Tech's mascot is. I should.
The Bulldogs.
Bulldogs. Okay, very original. Yeah. All right. So thoughts on this one, Quacker?
So this is a rivalry game. It's called the Rivalry in Dixie. And this was actually started way back in the 20s or 30s. It's a good old fashioned slobber knocker rivalry. Both teams have been down for the last few years, and they both seem to be on the up right now. Southern is, they've been playing well the past 2 weeks. They lead the country in pass breakups. I was watching Coach Huff's press conference this week, and he said this stat does nothing for us. I tend to disagree with that a little bit because it means that you're not letting the receivers catch the ball. So that to me, it's a good stat. But he said we should be catching the ball instead of just knocking it down. That being said, the defense is playing a lot better. I think Southern's got a good chance to go to Ruston and come home with the win. I don't know if there's a trophy with this game or not, but if it is, we can bring the trophy back to Hattiesburg and
all right,
put it in.
Just a reminder to everybody, last week, and we're going to keep track of this all year. I don't even know if Quacker knows this because I don't know if I've told him. But last week, Quacker went 9 of 13, and we started in week 3 because we didn't really do it faithfully in week 1 or 2, which is my fault. Quacker went 9 of 13, in picks. I went 7 of 13. So Quacker, you've got Southern in this one.
I got Southern.
Okay, I also have Southern in this one, mainly because I'm not sold on what they're doing in Ruston yet. However, what I've seen of Southern has looked really good. All right, so the Blue Hens, the Fighting Joe Flaccos, are headed to Pitbull Stadium because you reminded me last week that it's called that because I had forgotten. So I just wanted to say that. Obviously, that is, yeah, that is in. No, that was good. Don't do it again. So you just got me off my train of thought. So Delaware is headed to Miami. So FIU has looked pretty good. And let's see what we've got. I had this right in front of me. Hold on one second. Okay, so FIU is a 5.5-point favorite. They're both 2-1. Who you got in this one? Who you got and why?
This is Delaware's first Conference USA game, first conference game at the FBS level. I'm gonna take FIU, just because Delaware. It's kind of a northern state. It's a little cooler up there. Miami. It's hot. It's humid. I think that could play a factor in the game. So I'm gonna take FIU.
I am too. I don't want to agree with you too much because I need to catch up, but I don't want to get further behind by just picking different than you. So, so both of us will pick FIU, and we have no differences in Conference USA. All right. So moving on now to the that's not right. Sorry. The AAC. That was right. It's very late. I apologize. So, games in the AAC. So, there's one going on right now that I'm going to get Quacker to give us an update on. It's Rice, who's 2-1, at Charlotte, who's wearing a lot of gold tonight. Who is this? Oh, okay, I have written down 1 and 2. Are they 1 and 2? I thought when I saw earlier on ESPN it said 2 and 1.
They're 1 and 2.
Okay, but I wrote down 1 and 2, so I just figured maybe I was. So, what's the score in that one right now?
With 5 seconds to go, it's 28-17 Charlotte. I mean, 28-17 Rice. I'm sorry.
Okay, I was going to say, well, I knew Rice had over 20 points a minute ago, so that was impressive if Charlotte. So, yeah. So,
looks like there's a flag on the plate. Yeah, this is fixing to end with
well, congratulations.
Batted pass.
Yeah. Congratulations to Food. You are now 3-1. Sorry, Charlotte. All right. So moving into the AAC proper, North Texas at Army. What do you got for this one, Quack?
So North Texas 3-0. They're looks like a 1.5-point favorite. I'm taking Army. Ground to pound. They've had to replace a lot of players off last year's team.
That is a big surprise. I am not taking Army. I am taking UNT in this one big. So we've got our first difference. I know it's hard to pick against the service academies, and I agree. However, I don't really see them winning this game. So we'll see. We'll see who's right. Game that's a little more intriguing. So this is – I know that there's some history with this because of proximity, but this is at least the third time in the last 3 or 4 or 5 years that Tulane and Ole Miss have played, right?
I think, was it 2 years ago they played at Tulane?
Right, but didn't they also play last year?
I'm thinking they did. I don't want to say yes and them not. I'm not 100% sure, so I can't just say for certain they did, but I know they played quite a bit here lately.
Okay. Well, I won't bury the lead. I'll go first on this one. I'm gonna take Ole Miss to win this one. Although I don't think it's gonna be like a butt whooping or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Ole Miss is going to win this as well. Tulane they're playing well. Um, if Simmons plays this game, and of course they proved last week they don't really need Simmons to win. But I think he'll be back for this game. I think Ole Miss wins the game. I think it'll be a good game, but I think Ole Miss wins.
Well, just so everyone knows, Quacker is pretty good at this prediction thing usually, but he's really good when it comes to the group of 6 schools playing power teams, because generally when he in the past has picked an upset that I thought was silly or ridiculous, he's basically always been right. Now I'm talking specifically about group of 6 versus power 4. So I'm a little surprised that you picked Ole Miss. I figured for sure, because of your, just the place in your heart that Tulane has, that you're going to pick them. But I say all that to say, the fact that he's got a soft spot for him, plus the fact that he didn't pick him and he's good at it, means that the Green Wave is probably not going to have a very good weekend, if history is any kind of an indicator. But we will see about that. All right. So moving on to the SBC, and we're going to start this off with a game that I'm going to be honest with you. Probably if there's any game with any teams that have a pulse on at the same time, I probably would watch those over this one. But of course, I'm not, no disrespect. This is a game with a couple of struggling teams. So Coastal Carolina, who is 1-2, is going to be leaving the neutral confines of Conway to head down to the neutral location of Mobile, Alabama, to play South Alabama. So look, here's the thing: both of them are 1-2. Both of them have been good in the past. USA is a 15.5-point favorite. This is a game for the dude. You got to be a fan of these teams to be excited about this game, I feel like.
Yeah. That 15.5-point favorite. That's a pretty big spread for two teams that are struggling right now. But I kind of feel like it's a fair, especially after Carolina Coastal's showing last week, getting shut out and blown out on their home turf.
Maybe, but don't you think though too that, like, because I feel like Coastal is a little bit more well known as a brand once you get outside of like the deep South, right? So once you're outside of like Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and parts of Florida, I feel like Coastal is I don't think either one of them are what I would call national brands, but I think they're more recognizable. And so I almost wonder, because you know this, but I'm just for the viewers, if you don't know, the line is based on where the money is being bet throughout the week, which is why it moves. So I almost wonder if the 15.5 is more a function of people being aware of Coastal struggles and not aware of South Alabama's. Now, it's not lost on me, and I think it's worth saying that South Alabama did play Auburn close, but how much of that last week, but how much of that was South Alabama being, worthy of that score versus, Auburn phoning it in. So you might be right. I tend to think it's just a line based on betting that, I find it hard to believe that even these professional bettors who are doing this and are paying attention to it every day, like day traders, I find it hard to believe that they know enough about either one of these teams at this moment to know that one of them is definitely 15.5 points better than the other. So,
yeah, if this was baseball, I would say, yeah, Coastal's definitely known outside of the southern region.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying,
Yeah.
I think the name, I'm not saying necessarily the football program, but Coastal's had every bit as much success in football as South Alabama has, arguably more. But no, but you're right. I mean, maybe it's because of the bad. I don't care if it's because of women's field hockey. Like, I'm just saying the name is more. So, like, for instance, if you think about, if you hear Seton Hall or Xavier,
Mm-hmm.
you know the school names,
Basketball,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, but you know
Yeah,
instantly that
yeah,
the
yeah,
schools
yeah.
are Providence. So that's my point. Is it's like it may be because of baseball, but I just think it's a more recognizable brand, and I think that because of that, the struggles are going to be more out in the forefront. But that's just
Mm-hmm.
me pontificating.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the offense for South Alabama is probably further along than Coastal's is right now. Um, I'm taking South in this one, and I think it's going to be kind of messy. I don't think we look back on this on Monday that we go that was actually a pretty good game. It's going to be like, oof. Coastal's in for a really long season if this keeps up.
Okay. Well, I am also going to pick South Alabama because they're at home. However, this doesn't count towards our picks because we didn't set anything up for this. But I do not think that South Alabama will cover the spread. Like when we started talking about this, I was thinking that USA would win by like 3 or less, and I still kind of feel like that. And I'm only saying that because they're at home. That's the only reason. So we do have something interesting to talk about after the game is played, because even though we're both picking USA, we have very different opinions of how the game will go. All right. So Quacker, tell us about. Well, go ahead.
I said that South Alabama field. I've been there for a bowl game. It's basically a glorified high school stadium with a large jumbotron.
So we were talking about that a few months ago on our podcast. I'm pretty sure that where South Alabama plays is not where that bowl game used to be played. I think they've moved stadiums.
I think so. Yeah, because this one's it's
in a neighborhood. One you're talking about, because I've been to it too. It's weird. Well, let me back up. I don't know that I've been to the one you've been to, but the one that they played the bowl game in forever was in a.
This one's on campus, but it's their campus is kind of in a neighborhood, so. No. But it's
when
like
I say the one I'm talking about. It's like literally we parked in a cul-de-sac, walked through a gate, and we're in the stadium. Like, I'm not kidding. And it wasn't like dorm neighborhood. It was like a neighborhood. So, what year did you go?
Was it 3 years ago?
Oh yeah, that
was. It was the only season that. Yeah, the only season that Will Hall took Southern to a bowl game.
When was he the coach there?
So he got fired last season. So, 21 to 24? So it'd have been 22.
Okay. Yeah, so that stadium looks like they moved in 2020. So that's a totally different stadium than the one I was. I was thinking of the old one that they played in for years and years, Lad Peebles, which is where the Senior Bowl used to be, and that one is like legitimately like in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, we have a difference of opinion, but the same outcome. So I think that'll be fun to watch. I guess. So, I'm going to say something I don't get to say very often. Okay, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
You sure you're ready?
I guess. Let's find out.
Georgia State is traveling to Nashville to play number 20. Vanderbilt. You want to say it again? Georgia State is traveling to Nashville to play number 20 Vanderbilt. Go for it.
You know the significance of this game, right?
No.
Last year, Vandy started out really good, and then they went to Georgia State and got beat. So it's a little bit of a revenge game for Diego Pavia and Lee, the head coach Lee. What's his
Clark
first
Lee.
name? Clark Lee.
Yeah.
Um, a little bit of a revenge game here for Vandy.
I was
Now they're
wondering why you
28.
wanted to talk about this game.
Yeah, but it's a new season. Whatever happened last year doesn't really matter. But they're also thinking about that. That was a win that we should have had last year. They're coming to our house this year. Let's embarrass them. I really think that's what's going to happen too. I think this Vandy team's pretty good. 28.5 point spread. I would put money on the over personally if I was the betting man.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. I totally agree. I think Vandy's going to win. I don't think it's going to be close. All right. So, let's move on. We've got Syracuse going to unranked Clemson. Man, the polls this year, we've talked about this a lot, or we've talked about a few weeks ago, we talked about how, like for at least for me, I do not have a problem at all with preseason polls as long as you use that as a baseline. Well, man, we are used to seeing early season shifts, like larger shifts. But over the last 3 weeks, we've seen, after one loss, we've seen at least 3 teams that I can think of. There's probably been more, but that were ranked 13th or higher, lose a game, and then immediately go unranked. And now I'm counting Clemson in that because they lost to the current number 3 team in the country in a close game in week 1. So I'm not counting that as like that never should have been like a big mover for Clemson. Although what happened was once they lost to Georgia Tech, then it was like, oh, they got to move a lot. I thought that was weird. Thought South Carolina looked really bad last week after Lenora Sellers went out, but I kind of think that was just the team sort of just mentally folding. I felt like them moving from 11 unranked was a little bit harsh. However, I digress. We're not talking about South Carolina. We're talking about Clemson. Syracuse at Clemson. Go for it.
Syracuse, this is actually a pretty decent team here. Clemson's 16.5 point favorite. That kind of feels like a little much to me. I think Clemson wins this game. It's at home. It's at 11 o'clock in the morning. Syracuse plays in the what's it called, the Carrier Dome. It's a climatized environment they play in. It's still hot in what's it like there in South Carolina? You're there.
Well, this week is a little warmer than it had. We got like into the low 90s, but it's actually been unseasonably cool, and I think it's going to drop down again. So I would say that it's going to be muggy. I don't think it's going to be out of control though.
Yeah.
And I will say also that I'm way closer to the Atlantic Ocean than Clemson is, like way closer. So it may be a lot hotter in Clemson, but they've also got a little bit more elevation than where I'm at. So
yeah, I'll say the heat and the humidity can play a little bit of a factor in this game. You may see some Syracuse players cramping on the field. I'm gonna pick Clemson. I'm gonna pick them to win it close though. I think it's one of those kind of like last week with Georgia Tech where it comes down to the last couple drives. Maybe their defense has to make a stop, late in the game to seal it for them. But I do think Clemson will win the game.
All right, we have to have a difference of opinion here. I agree it's going to be Clemson, but opposite of last time, I do not believe it'll be close. I think Clemson's going to win this game handily. All right, so before we talk about the next game, Southern Methodist at TCU, Quacker's got a little nugget of history surrounding this game, so go for it.
All right, so this is a rivalry game. It's called the Iron Skillet. They started playing in 1915. In actually, the 1935 game was named the Game of the Century. We've heard that a ton, but it was named the Game of the Century by Grantland Rice, who was a writer who rode the train down from New York to cover the game. So if you know anything about travel in the 1930s, that wasn't an easy trip to make. He considered it the greatest game ever played in the first 60 years of the sport. High praise. The trophy came in 1946 to calm the shenanigans that both school student bodies were doing to the others' campuses. Over time, the tradition faded, and the original trophy, which was just a skillet, was lost. In 1993, both school student governments resurrected the tradition, and an iron skillet adorned with a plaque became the trophy again. Now, there's an importance to this short history of the rivalry in the trophy. This Saturday's game is the last scheduled game between the two that are just 40 miles apart. This is just another victim of all the realignment that's taken place in college sports the last 40 years or so.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I get pretty frustrated. I liked seeing what we talked about last week about how, who was it? NC State and whoever played that game, Wake Forest, right? NC State,
Yeah.
Wake Forest, decided to play that game out of conference, even though they're in conference, to preserve a rivalry. I think it's really silly when Texas and Texas A&M stop playing and they say, "Oh, it's because you're in this conference and you're." No, it's not. It's because you want to pad your schedule, and this is the excuse to do it. All right, that's why these teams do it, especially the athletic directors, because they want those games. All right, and in most state universities, it helps with the subsidies, so they want the games. Florida and Miami was the same thing. Florida backed out of that game right around the late 80s, early 90s. Now, they play every 5 years, a home and home, I think, but they used to play every year. So I can't stand all of these in-state rivalries that we've seen go away. Another one that wasn't in-state, but Nebraska and Colorado used to play every year, and that was a huge rivalry. Now, it was born out of was it the Southwest or the Big Eight, whichever one they were
Big
in.
Eight.
And then
they were in Big Eight.
And then the Big 12. So I get like some of that, but I just, in my mind, I think losing games like that is a travesty. I just think it's not good for college football. That's why I count my lucky stars every year that we get another year of the Red River Shootout and the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, because those are two very unique games. And we need more of those, not less. So it's sad. But go ahead.
Southern Miss and Tulane, they're big rivals. They play for a trophy. It's the Victory Bell. It's painted. One side's white, one side's gold, I think. And it's got like the team logos and stuff on it. And of course, when they were Conference USA opponents, it was an every year rivalry. And now the last time we played them was 2 or 3 years ago now. And there's nothing scheduled for a while. So
Quacker, you're the resident sports historian. Was Tulane a charter member of the SEC?
They were.
Okay. I knew Georgia Tech was, but for some reason I thought Tulane was, but I wasn't 100% certain. All right.
So was Sewanee College.
Sewanee College. So that's funny. I read about something to do with Sewanee in my history of sports class a few years ago. So about the game itself, SMU at TCU. Who do you have?
You know what? It's what's it? TCU's a 6.5-point favorite. I'm taking SMU. I can see this going either way, but I'm taking SMU. I think the both offenses are going to be high powered. I think this is going to be a shootout of a game. But I can see, SMU making just enough plays on defense to pull away by, 10 points or so to come out with the win.
We cannot have a difference of opinion. So I'm taking SMU too. I just feel like they're just a little better team right now. However, I think that TCU's not. I don't think that TCU is a slouch.
No, not at all.
I just
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if TCU won this game. I
Well,
just think.
no, I know. So, all right, I'm taking TCU. Here's why. I'm taking them because I remember how ticked off they were about the whole Belichick thing, and it's at home. So I'll take the Horned Frogs. For better or for
Okay.
worse, I'll take the Horned Frogs. All right, last game in the ACC quickly. NC State at Duke.
NC State. I think it's close, but NC State with the win.
Okay. I don't really have anything to disagree with on that. I think I will also pick the Wolfpack. So, give me 1 second. So, let's talk about South Carolina traveling to Como to play number 23 Missouri. And probably let's just be honest. He's upgraded to probable. So, with Lenora Sellers. I mean, that means he's playing. So,
Yeah. I think this is going to be a really good game. Let's see. Mizzou's 9.5 point favorite. I'm going to call for the upset here. I think South Carolina goes in and upsets the Missouri Tigers.
really?
Yeah.
Stop
I think
taking my picks. I'm going to start going first. All right. Well, I agree. I think South Carolina is going to win, and I can't separate myself because Quacker thinks the same thing. All right, so a game I don't really know why we're talking about, but since we are, let's talk about it. Florida is going to Miami. There are some interesting elements to this game, but Miami's a 9.5 point favorite. In some circles are being talked about as the best team in the country. I don't know if I believe all that. But Florida obviously is 1-2, and quite frankly, probably one more Billy Napier loss without, a couple of wins in front of it, away from a new head coach. So, what do you see in this one?
You know what? I think Florida comes in and pulls the upset.
Stop! Are you kidding me? I even said I was on the fence on this one. I was like, if he picks South Carolina, I'm gonna pick Florida, and then you pick Florida, dude. You gotta be kidding me, man! All right, go ahead. Finish your thought. Finish your thought. I'm not mad. It's okay.
I just don't see Lagway having another 5 interception game. The meme going around this week has been Napier talking to Lagway saying, "So we're the team of blue." With this being somewhat rivalry game, I think they used to play for a trophy. I don't know if they still do or not.
And they actually play for I think it's called the Battle for
War
the
Canoe?
Seminole War Canoe.
Yeah.
And the reason that stuck with me is because Seminole is in it, and the Seminoles don't play in the game. It's something like that. Because the Miami and Florida State play for some stupid. It's like the Citrus or Orange Trophy, and then Florida and Florida State play for like the Governor's Cup. Both of those are stupid names. The only one that has a good name is the one that's not every year, which is the Florida Miami game. It's definitely a rivalry. As a native Floridian, I will tell you that. It's just not a rivalry that I think Florida or Miami would ever put on the same level as their respective rivalries with Florida State.
Yeah.
But I definitely think they can't stand each other for sure.
Yeah. I think too that Florida's defense is going to keep them in this game. I think they'll slow down the Miami offense, and as long as Lagway plays a clean game, I think that they win the game.
So here's where my logic is, because I think everybody, and this is weird because I think everybody is kind of saying like, well, Florida's done. They're going to go 1-11 and all this. And I guess I could see why you might think that if you're not watching the Florida games. But if you watched the Florida LSU game last week, outside of the defensive backs catching all of DJ Lagway's passes, Florida outplayed LSU. Florida's defense looked good. Florida's receivers looked good. The game plan from Napier was good. And I hate to break it to you, Miami fans, LSU's defense is better than Miami's. And the Miami Gardens, Florida at night is not Death Valley at night. So DJ Lagway faced the toughest environment he's going to face this season. And I would have said that even if LSU's defense wasn't improved to the degree they are this year, because it's Death Valley. But he played at Death Valley at night against a really good defense. Probably the best defense that's on their schedule. Not probably. I think it is. I mean, it'd be them or Georgia. But right now, I think it's LSU. So I agree with you. I think DJ Lagway gets right. Now, here's the thing that I think so many people are missing. I've seen a lot of people talking about, well, he's trash and he's this and that and whatever. He was injured all offseason. So this is his first road start. He's injured all season. And he made plays even that, like, there was one interception he threw, like, he just kind of threw it up when they were in field goal range and they needed the points. It was a bad decision. I think he just was out of, like, they got in his head. They stayed in his head there all night. And I think from that pick six on, I don't think you see that again from Lagway.
Yeah. I also think, and I didn't get to watch much of the game because I was at the Southern Miss game, and unfortunately they kind of overlapped. I got to see I think the last quarter or so. But, I mean, I was seeing, and you'd even told me, because we were texting during the game, Florida was making mental mistakes. They were making a lot of penalties. They had what was it, like an 87-yard touchdown called back, and I think like an interception happened shortly after that, or maybe a punt. I don't remember, but
I think
Florida had some chances.
I will say on that, but I don't want you to finish your thought. That was one of those, and McElroy pointed this out too. It's frustrating to see Florida giving away those because they've done that a few times this season. But that was one where DJ Lagway started to break out of the pocket to the right, backed up, rolled out to the left, and the lineman got caught. You know, because you have to release once you get outside the pocket, but he thought he was going the other way. So now that's not excusable at D1, you know, power 4 level.
Yeah,
but it's understandable. It's not excusable. It's understandable. But finish your thought on that, though.
Yeah, you know, I mean, if they can get those little things cleaned up, because, you know, 5-yard penalty here, 10-yard penalty here, it can kill a drive. It overturned a touchdown. You know, it pulled a touchdown off the board. If that touchdown takes place, then the momentum of the game shifts. Yeah. You know, maybe Florida walks out of the stadium with a win at the end of the game. Because LSU's offense has not been good this year. I mean, it's been Brian Kelly said he's kind of put a tamper on the offense because of some injuries and stuff like that. But you know, if you get these things, and they're not hard to clean up, it's attention to detail.
Yeah.
If they can get those little things cleaned up, Florida can still have a good season. It may not be they were hoping it would be.
Well, I mean, I think it's a combination of DJ Lagway had a really bad game, the worst game of his career. Now we're going to see. We're going to see, is he made of the kind of stuff that can respond to this, or does he collapse into DJU? And we truthfully don't know. None of us have seen this from him, so we don't know how he's going to respond, okay? But we get a chance to see it. And my feeling is I don't think Miami's ready for what's coming. Not that I think Florida's like head and shoulders better than them, or that I think Billy Napier is great. You were talking about the penalties. What's so interesting is when you look at the penalty yards, they were really even. I think Florida had more penalties, but the penalty yardage was almost the same. And one thing that was different was most of Florida's big penalties came earlier in the game rather than later, which it was the opposite in the South Florida game. They were coming when Well, they were all throughout the game, but I mean, they also came at some critical times. So, I think what's happened with Florida is I do think Billy Napier is. I think if he loses this game, he's done. I think if he wins this one, maybe beats Texas, I think he can afford to take a close loss to A&M or something. But he's got to string a couple of together before he can do that. But I think that what's happened is they lost to USF because they were not prepared. Well, I think they were prepared, but they weren't mentally there. And they made all kinds of mistakes. That shell-shocked them. And then they went up against the best team in the toughest environment that's on their schedule, okay? At least based on the way the teams are all playing right now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't feel like Florida was uncompetitive in the game. Like, the defense gave up one touchdown, and the 2 field goals were both on short fields because of lagway interceptions. I mean, the difference literally was 5 interceptions, and I think 6 total turnovers to 1. Wasn't it something like that? I think LSU won the turnover battle 6-1. It was either 6-1 or 5-1. But my point is, Florida lost that game by 10 points on the road with 5 interceptions, and had a chance midway through the fourth quarter to at least get it to a 1-score game. So I'm not trying. All I'm saying is that I feel like things are shaping up in a way that while I could see Miami winning the game, all these people talking about Miami just running away with it, I don't think they're ready for what's about to happen. Because I don't think Miami's as good as LSU. Now, the one thing Florida's going to have to watch out for, Carson Beck has been playing well. We talked about this at the beginning of the season. If we saw 2023 Carson Beck, Miami's going to be a problem. If we saw 2024 Carson Beck, nobody's worried about it. He's played closer to 2023 Carson Beck so far. And the transitive property does nothing for anyone, but just remember that Miami did barely beat Notre Dame, who is 1-2. Now, take that with a grain of salt.
0-2.
0-2, sorry. Take that with a grain of salt, though, because both of their losses are to, now top 10 teams. But I talked way too long about that. Moral of the story, we're both taking Florida, and what's funny about that, I didn't think either one of us were taking Florida when this podcast started. And then the further we got into it, I was like, you know what, I think I could probably switch over to Florida. And then you picked Florida, but I'll stick with it because I agree with the reasons. So, all right, final game of the docket for this week that we're going to discuss is a good one, hopefully. We're going to see the Fighting Weagles. That is Auburn Tigers. They are going to. So my little inside baseball. My cousin, not my cousin, Chad's my cousin. My nephew goes to Auburn, and his dad's been a fan as long as I've known him, and his whole life. And so a couple of my hometown friends used to, and I don't know where they got it from, but they used to say Weagle, Weagle. And so every time I think of Auburn, I think of the Fighting Weagles. And did anyone want to know that? No, but it doesn't matter. This is our show, so I can do what I want. So the Fighting Weagles are going to go to, what do they call? Is it the Palace on the Plains or the Palace on the Prairie? They have some nickname for it. It's the Palace.
The Palace, yeah.
Yeah, but it's the Palace on the something. I think it's the Palace on the Prairie. I'm going to look that up. But anyway, they're going to play number 11 Oklahoma. So while I look this up, Quacker, why don't you tell us your thoughts on the game?
Let's see what's. I'll use 7.5 point favorite. You've got Auburn's quarterback is Jackson Arnold, right? He's the former starter from Oklahoma. Making his return to his former school.
Dude, I got to tell you, these transfer portal guys it's all getting out of control. Jackson Arnold, Haynes King, Mateer, Williams. It's like I can't keep track of where these guys are anymore.
Yeah. I saw Arnold play last year, last game of the regular season, the Oklahoma LSU game. I wasn't really impressed with him. He's looked a lot better under Hugh Freeze. Oklahoma, I mean, they've looked pretty good to start the season. I think this is going to be a very good matchup. I'm going to pick Oklahoma. I'm going to pick them to win a close game. I'm going under the spread here. It's Let me get back to my page here. It was what 6.5, I think, was the spread. And I got the spinning wheel of death. Have you got it right there in front of you, Matt? The spread.
Yes, I do. Hold on, caught me off guard because I was looking on online, but I do have it right here. 1 second. It is.
I got it. 7.5.
Sorry, I took too long to get to it.
No, that's all right. I got the spinning wheel of death went away. So it's 7.5-point favorite. I think Auburn keeps this close. I think this is gonna be one of the better games of the day. It's one of our only ranked on ranked game. I think maybe the only one that we have that we're covering.
I think it's the only one in the SEC, isn't it? Or are you talking about in all the conferences? Yeah.
I think in all the conferences is only ranked on ranked. All right, at least the ones that we cover.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think this is really close, but I think the home field advantage that Oklahoma has, it's not, Death Valley or DKR, where Texas plays, but it's still a pretty loud stadium.
I don't know that DKR is DKR. I have some Texas family members who tell me that it's way overrated in terms of atmosphere. I've never been there, so I can't speak to it. I'm just talking about my family members.
Yeah, I've never heard that. But
apparently the way it's built with like the Longhorn, like those upgrades they did with the Longhorn in the end zone and stuff, like just swallows.
It's kind of taken away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But regardless, I think that this is one that Oklahoma pulls out. I think it's close. I think the defense makes the difference in the game, and Oklahoma wins by 3 or 4 points.
All right. Well, for me, I think Oklahoma is the better team. I think Oklahoma is playing better. I think Oklahoma is excited to welcome a traditional SEC blue blood to their home. By the way, the stadium has 3 names, which is not unheard of. We talk about LSU Stadium all the time, known as Death Valley. It's also known as Tiger Stadium. And does it have a field name as well? I don't know. But I know a lot of stadiums have several. But Oklahoma's are you ready for this? Because the first one's long. Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium, also known as Owen Field or the Palace on the Prairie. Couldn't remember if it was Palace on the Plains or Palace on the Prairie. I'm going to take Auburn to win this game. I don't feel really good about it. I actually I was leaning Oklahoma, but we need some separation, and I feel good enough about Auburn being in this game that I don't mind switching it up. And part of it is because while, Hugh Freeze's time in Auburn has been much maligned to a certain degree, Hugh Freeze has won everywhere he's been, And so I really feel like it's a matter of time. And no offense to the guy, because maybe he's a great guy, but I used to tell my nephew this all the time. You can only expect Hugh Freeze to do so much with Peyton Thorne, right? Like, don't get me wrong. He's way better of a quarterback than I will ever be in my life. That's not what I'm saying. But if you are someone who is a prospective Division I or certainly SEC caliber quarterback, you got to be open to the criticism. Peyton Thorne wasn't SEC caliber. Jackson Arnold, different story. So, we'll see. But I'm going to take Auburn, but I feel very similar to how you feel.
Yeah. It's kind of become my thing here lately, but ticket price was as low as $30.
So if you want to drive
for an
out,
SEC ranked on ranked matchup, $30.
If you want to drive out to Norman, Oklahoma, to watch the game, that is a little surprising because the capacity is as SEC stadiums go, it's fairly low. It's 80,000, which by the way is the 41st largest stadium in the world, which may sound awesome for a college stadium, but let me just real quick before we go, I just want to take this little detour, so just take it with me. So the first couple are North Korea and India. But then, are you ready for this? So starting with number 3, I'm just going to go through the top 15. I want you to count for me how many of these are SEC. Michigan Stadium,
right.
Beaver Stadium in State College, Ohio Stadium, Kyle Field, Tiger Stadium, Neyland Stadium, DKR, Bryant-Denny, Melbourne Cricket Ground. Oh, hold on. It switched on me. Sanford Stadium, Cotton Bowl, Rose Bowl, Ben Hill Griffin, Jordan Hare.
Do we want to cut the Cotton Bowl as SEC or not? Cause
No.
okay, so that's 8.
8. So I just read to you the top 15 largest stadiums in the world. And let me say that again. In the world. So the first 2 are in India and North Korea. The one in North Korea I had heard of before because it literally has a capacity of like, I'm not kidding, it's like 150,000. No, okay. It says 114 here, but I remember the first time I read it, I swear I thought it said 150. And I was like, I didn't know there were 150,000. I knew there were. I'm just kidding. In all of North Korea. But anyway, my point is, Auburn plays in a stadium that's around 85,000. But once you get into that realm, you're talking about stadiums that are just massive. And as you can see, I mean, outside of just 3 stadiums, I think that I read, or 4, all of them are Big Ten or SEC. So interesting note. When I was reading about it, trying to find the name, I saw that it was 41st at a capacity of 80,000. And I just thought that was interesting. So
I got a cousin that lives out in Oklahoma, and he doesn't have season tickets, but he goes to Oklahoma games pretty regularly. He really likes it there, but he's like, I've gotten addicted to going into kind of like the suite area and stuff. They have like apparently they got like this all you can eat area and stuff, like almost like a little buffet and stuff. So he likes to go to that area and hang out and watch games. Well, and like during the colder weather, because it gets kind of cold in Oklahoma, I don't blame him at all for wanting to sit in there just to get out of the wind sometimes. But
yeah, you and me are just the opposite. I'll sit in a game that's at 0 because I can always get warmer. It's the heat that bothers me. But Quacker and I have an uncle who sometimes has access to a suite at the Superdome, and we've both had the chance to go on separate occasions to be in that suite. And I will tell you, as someone who is not of the station or the ilk, to have that happen frequently, that is the way to watch a football game. Because I don't know how most stadiums do, but at the Dome, it's like this, like you go up this, it's a separate entrance, and then you go up this elevator or stairs. You can do either one, and once you walk into your suite, you're normally sharing it like with another business, and there's a private bathroom, TVs everywhere in this air-conditioned room with your buffet, and there are servers in there who are taking your order. But the way the Dome is set up is really cool because you can actually walk out into, like, there's a glass like shield that comes up to like right here, but you can walk out into the open air stadium, and you have your own little cordoned off section where you can actually sit in the stadium rather than being locked up inside the box. But then you also have the benefits of like private bathroom, access to the TV to hear what the analysts are saying, and that is the way to watch a game. So if you have several $1,000,
you were sitting in a different one than I did, but
I went in 2006. I don't know what year you went. So
17.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably a different one. Yeah.
Either a different one or they've changed them.
Yeah.
What was different about it?
Well, we didn't have the waiters and all that stuff, and I don't remember there being a private bathroom, but I don't even know if I went to the bathroom while I was there.
Okay.
But I mean, we had the nice leather seats, which were awesome. Wish I had one of those right now, just to lounge in. But
Oh, but they
You
had
had to
seats
have
in
the
there.
TV.
I never looked at the seats. I went out into the stadium seats. That's where I watched the game
That
from.
that was also like you didn't have where you could go out. It was walled off, and you had to have the TV because you were sitting high enough and far enough back that you almost had to look at the TV to watch the game.
Well,
Um,
one of two things could have happened. I mean, our uncle's company, because he doesn't control those seats, they could have changed their package, or the dome could have just changed the way they did it. But if they
yeah.
did change it, that's really sad because the way it was set up was awesome, and it's still a once in a lifetime experience regardless.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But he gets like he tries to make sure everybody gets to go, so he gets an opportunity to use them not for business like once a year maybe, or once maybe every 2 years, and so he's kind of like gone through the rotation of family members trying to get everybody involved. So anyway, that's
I didn't get to watch a game, and this was me and my dad went to Soldier Field and did a tour there, and went in one of the box seats up there, and they said it was like $93,000 just for the box, and then
wow.
like each seat was separate, but the seats there were really awesome too.
I'm sure they are. The problem is for the last 20 years is that if you pay $93,000, you have to go watch the Bears. Like Soldier Field would be
Yeah.
cool. The problem is
Yeah.
that you have to watch the Bears.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, all right. So thank you guys for joining us for this Week 4 preview. And next time we get together will be on Sunday evening or Monday evening. It will be one of those, so stay tuned for that, and that will be our Week 4 review. So do you have anything else before we jump off here?
I do not.
All right. So where can people find the show?
You can find us on Facebook. Search for Aluminum House Podcast. You can find us on X at Aluminum House Pod. We are working on getting stuff to where you can watch us on Instagram. That's at Aluminum House Podcast. We're on Twitch, Aluminum House Podcast. Of course, we're on here on YouTube. I think that's it. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's we are slowly trying to make sure that wherever you watch / listen to your podcast, we're available. But neither one of us are gurus at this, and we both have full-time jobs, so it's taking a little bit more brain power than we have to do it quickly. So bear with us. But yes, so thank you guys again. Have a wonderful week. Enjoy. There's Friday Night Football tomorrow, so make sure you watch that. And then check us out over the weekend as we review Week 4. Have a great week.